So hi, I'm Cortland. I work for Punch Drunk Critics, and I actually saw this film at Sundance at your
Oh,
premiere, and absolutely fell in love with it. So congratulations.
thanks
Thank
for
you.
seeing it.
So this film follows a very broken, suppressed blue collar man who finds release in his local theater community. Talk to me about the formation of Dan as a character.
Mm.
Yeah, when I was when I was thinking about the story, I it just naturally lent itself to this generation of a particular kind of man within the generation of men who I sort of like grew up around,
Yeah.
who were always taught that pain should only be expressed through anger. Actually, as I'm saying it, there are many men still like this.
Well,
Hmm.
through example.
It's taught through example and through, subtle socialization and non-subtle socialization. And so thinking about, how unfair that is for everybody involved, that their families have total lack of access to them and their deep emotional lives because of this. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking about somebody who would really benefit from a place where they could go to look silly, they could express their pain, they could have fun, because also I don't think this character is allowed to have a lot of fun in his life.
Yeah.
Just a place to sort of be a kid, to start from ground up again and have a different kind of socialization within this very silly community. And so it sprang from there.
It's interesting because I didn't think about this before, but you do kind of watch Dan learn to have fun, which is
Yeah,
such like a
Yeah.
interesting anti, toxic masculinity concept. So,
exactly.
um, Alex, the first of all, I'm obsessed with Saint Francis, which you guys made. Um, and I saw a very similar visuals um in this film, especially like in Dan's home and work life. But then
Mhm.
when he's sort of in the theater, there's definitely a specific lighting and lens difference. Can you talk a little bit about those choices? I know you guys co-directed.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it was that's really cool that you noticed that. Yeah, Dan's home, we basically wanted, I think in a lot of films, not to answer with I think it's good to take creative choices from a not defensive place, not from a defensive place, but like in a lot of films when the camera goes handheld, it means something crazy is going to happen or some shift
Right.
is going to occur. But we were thinking about emotion as this thing that is, and feeling as a thing that is like positive, whether it's anger, whether it's grief, the freedom of expression is ultimately what the handheld camera meant. And so we had like three layers. We had the home, which was essentially static and very locked off. And then as Dan started to experience this place where you could actually start to feel things, where he felt comfortable feeling things out loud, that aesthetic started to invade his life. And so the lensing gets wider in the theater. It's able to take more things in. At home, they're very like siloed.
Yeah.
It's a lot more like, there's Daisy and Sharon, there's Dan, we're in separate corners essentially.
Right.
And when they do come together, it usually doesn't work out. Like the scene where Dan and Sharon try to have sex on that first night. Um, they share the frame, but it like doesn't ultimately
Yeah.
work. So yeah, we actually like transition, when Dan first walks through the curtains, that's actually like a two shot stitched together where we
Oh,
move
wow.
from the steady cam into handheld.
Okay.
Just to keep that language really specific. Yeah. Yeah, we
Awesome.
actually going by that logic, the deposition had to be handheld.
Yeah.
I remember when we were gearing up for that, we had a lot of conversations with our DP, Luke Dyra, and we were like, we've never seen a deposition that's like handheld. Like this is going to be like I think it ultimately that reel is like 14 minutes of them at the lawyer's office.
Mhm.
And it was Luke like cross-legged on
Mhm.
this table, just holding the camera. Um, but I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So because it's this explosive, it's this like this space of potential, I think, is what it is. Yeah.
Kelly and Alex too, but Kelly especially because I'm including your role in Cha Cha Real Smooth and your short My Summer Vacation.
Oh my gosh.
You seem to gravitate towards stories that like center on kids, especially young girls or childhood, or the juxtaposition between, especially in Ghostlight, like the juxtaposition between childhood and adulthood. What is it that you
I don't
find
know.
about the page so captivating?
I don't know. I think that's something I'm very much working out in therapy. Um, I I think there is something in me that is trying to like get to who we all really were before the world got its clutches on
Yeah.
us. That I'm super interested in like that is the purest form of who we were. And that we're all like the evolution is trying to get back to that.
Right.
Because obviously in Ghostlight, like talking about fun, like I did theater starting at age 6, but it was like at a community theater, children's theater. And so
Yeah.
it was always so fun. Like it was the most fun I ever had. And so I think there's some of just like, how do we see the world in this pure way? In what ways does it totally fuck us over? And then we're socialized out of those like weird, eccentric, beautiful places. And the way that age has like, I just get so, it makes me so emotional to think about who people, especially now I'm a parent, we have like a 6-month-old. And so thinking about like who we all were as kids is something that gets me every time. And to think like, what is going to happen to him? What are the lessons he's going to learn in hard and beautiful ways? And I don't know. I'm still very much unpacking it, but I love that that's really cool that you, I don't know, noticed.
You have Dolly DeLon in this film as I'm calling her the platonic lead. She's not a romantic lead, she's a platonic lead. I didn't know I needed to see her as Juliet, and she's like so perfect as Juliet. And I don't think I've ever seen a character like Rita on screen before. Talk to me about getting Dolly involved and what was it like working with her?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like serendipity. We
Yeah.
had another actor had scheduling issues, and we were sort of scratching our heads. And it's funny, the way that we make films is often very organic and like the most obvious choice. It's like, well, this house is free, this wardrobe is free, and this place is available, and this person is here. But sometimes like the smartest thing to do is to get the person who lives in Manila and and that happens to share a manager with us. And so we'd been admiring her from afar since Triangle of Sadness and just sort of
Yeah.
dreaming about like how could we what role could we write for her? What film will it be that we finally get to work with her on? And when this opportunity came up, it was like, well, surely she won't want to like come down to Chicago and, we'll have no hair and makeup. She'll bring her own wardrobe. Like, no, surely she won't want to do this. And it was
Yeah.
like a resounding, I'm in. Yeah. And you alluded to it, but she did theater for many, 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 many years. And in the Philippines, and so it actually I believe auditioned with Romeo and Juliet for like theater school or some academy, and so knew the role really well. I mean, we all know the role really well, but yeah, she was awesome. And I agree with you. It was those stage scenes, like we saw them for the first time up on their feet when we shot them, and so I just remember being like, oh wow, it's Shakespeare. When it works, it works. Like it was just fun to watch and like beautiful to watch. And every time we shot the wide, there was a deep part of me that was like, is that all we need? Because it just felt so good to be in the proscenium with that performance.
I attribute the two like productions that are huge right now, like the two Romeo and Juliet productions on Broadway to Ghostlight. You guys started that like wave.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Tom Holland, check us out.
Yeah, yeah. So after seeing your film at Sundance, I got back on the bus to like go to town as you do. And this beautiful woman in a purple beanie hopped on, and it turned out to be Alma Washington.
I was gonna say, I knew
Um,
it was off when you said purple beanie.
Yeah, who plays Moira. And I got to talk to her. She's one of the members of the theater troupe, and she was so proud of this movie, and the joy was just like radiating off of her. And you guys hired a lot of local, well-known Chicago actors, with the exception of Dolly, obviously. And you can feel that camaraderie between everybody on screen. Was that something that kind of was creative organically, or like something that you actively sought out?
We actively seek it out on everything that we do. This sense of ensemble and community. One, we just like it to be there because it's more fun. You know, it's the way that you want to spend your time. But two,
Yeah.
the way we make movies, it's necessary.
Right.
Because we want to be able to capture real chemistry between actors. Like we knew that we always wanted to just film them like pulling costumes out of a box or actually playing warm-up games. And we only want to work with people who have a deep sense of ensemble, who are not sort of isolationist, that it's just about their coverage. We want to work with people who care about the entire process and who care about everybody involved. And that extends to the crew as well.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, an ethos that we try to build on set, who we hire, and also the way that we try to facilitate. Like we have people over to our house beforehand. So, Alex can cook them a delicious meal
The cook.
and we workshop the script where we bring actors in and we say, like, what do you think? Are there any like sticking points
We do a lot of readings.
yeah. So it's definitely intentional and a crucial part of the process.
And not everybody like gets in every scene, not everybody gets a close-up.
Yeah.
But there are moments that come just from being together that are not in this, like we talked about, like HB, who plays Jonah in The Wings, voicing Dan's lines during the Romeo.
Yeah.
Like that was just organic. That was something we made up on the day. Like Tommy playing the piano during Stand By Me. Like that was
A few days before,
Yeah.
I had been like, do you play? Like, do you sing? And he was like, yeah. And so we're like, cool, let's throw it in there.
Yeah. Tommy up on stage with Dexter at the karaoke scene, like starting him out. That was just like Tommy helping Dexter get like start on the right foot. And I think when you foster that like sense of community and openness, people feel like they have permission to take up space and to try new things and to like be vulnerable, even when it's not like their big close-up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so nice to
This
talk
was
to you.
lovely.
Yeah, so cool.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.